Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining. Let's give one more minute for everyone to join in. All right, I think we should get started now. Let me share my screen. All right, pretty excited to start this session. So, hi, everyone. Welcome to the session where we will talk about building an effective product strategy. Today's session will be divided into four broad segments, starting with an introduction. Next, we will establish the basics around product strategy. We will learn what is product strategy and what it is not. I will also walk you through an example of product strategy to better understand how it can influence your product direction. And finally, we will wrap up the session with a simple framework, which will help you to apply today's learning specifically in your context. So I'm Anshul. I'm a senior group product manager with Velocity, currently responsible for the partner and third-party vendor API platform.
Hey, Anshul.
Before
Sorry.
Velocity, I worked with Wayfair, building the global supplier onboarding platform and an integration marketplace.
Hey, Anshul.
I recently graduated with an MBA degree from IE Business School in Spain and an engineering degree from Bangalore, India. I have over 15 years of experience across telecom, e-commerce, and payment industries. I'm passionate about product management because I love to solve customer pain points and create delightful experiences. My experience in the product management is predominantly in the B2B product space. And outside of work, I love to spend time with my family, travel a bit when I'm able to, and read books on management.
Hey, Anshul. We're not able to see the slides just yet. I believe you haven't started to present them.
I did, in fact. Let me go back.
Okay, no worries. Welcome everyone who's joining in. Super excited for the session. If you have any questions, remember to drop them in the Q&A section. There's an icon right next to the chat button. Okay, almost there. We're seeing the Windows desktop.
All right. And then let me start from this slide.
Now it's working perfectly. Okay, the stage is yours.
All right. Perfect. Thank you for that quick note, Fred. All right. So let's start. To start with the session today, let me dive into why did I choose to talk about product strategy first. It stems from my personal experience many years back as an early career PM, where I found it a little bit challenging to define product strategy and how I, as a PM, can learn more about the product strategy space. I also get several questions today about product strategy during my mentoring sessions on ADPList, and hence I thought it would be valuable to simplify the definition of product strategy while providing actionable insights in today's session. In addition to all of these reasons, product managers are regularly tasked with discoveries where they may not have a solid background, and hence it becomes quite challenging to define the product strategy or even a solid roadmap, which eventually translates into a poor roadmap and then not achieving the OKRs that the company or the leadership team had set for the business unit or for the team.
Hey, Anshul, can you hear me?
So, what is strategy?
Sorry.
Strategy is simply a set of choices that helps you deliver a unique value to your customers, thereby helping you win. So think of strategy as decisions that you make to not only deliver value to your customers, but also work within your organization to achieve the intended outcomes. We need to think a little bit about internal organization level choices as well, because in real world we have limited resources. We are constrained by several factors such as time to market, resources at our disposal, people, and monetary investment as well. We are also constrained by skill sets to deliver the outcome while establishing a competitive advantage for your product. So, to summarize, strategy is simply a set of unique and deliberate and educated choices that you make along the way to make sure that you are positioning your product in a winning way. So now that we know what is product strategy, we should also know about what it is not, because in a lot of instances we have seen that people would throw simple jargons at you, and we have seen in the past that people envision that it could be a goal or a plan or a vision, but it is not. We should be aware that strategy is not a goal. It's not a plan or a vision. For example, in the past, I have envisioned that reducing customer onboarding turnaround time by 80%, or increasing the sales revenue by 2x, or let's say even reducing your operational expenditure could be a product strategy, but it actually is not a product strategy. Those are goals or objectives that an organization wants to achieve. A strategy, similarly, your plan is also not a strategy. It it surely needs a plan to be executed, but a plan without the right strategy is bound to fail. And lastly, your product roadmap is also not a strategy, but it definitely represents the actions and customer values you are going to deliver based on the strategic choices that you have made in the past. So before we dive into an example, let's look at the role of a product manager. Uh, PM's job is to represent the voice of the customer, understand their pain points or challenges, and then work with the organization to solve those challenges while building a continuous feedback loop and iterating over the solution. PMs are tasked to build product strategies that would align with their vision and goals and organizational objectives while running continuous discovery and delivery cycles. They have to make a lot of choices along the way that can justify a product's existence and future direction. So let me give you a small example here. As a company, Amazon's choice early on to be an online marketplace while not investing in stores and establishing a network of warehouses that can fulfill a customer's order quickly was a big departure from the usual operating model during the early years. This particular choice helped them become more competitive and offer products at a much lower price than other retail competitors, right? In addition to that, product features and capabilities such as 2-day or 1-day delivery created stickiness to the platform and marketplace and propelled them into a leading position. This was both a company wide and product specific choice that paid huge dividends for Amazon. If I have to take another example, it could be with Uber. Uber has a separate app for ride and and a different app for food or grocery delivery. This in itself represents a very specific choice that Uber made to keep the product separate instead of building all in one app. So now let's take an example and evaluate how we as product managers can make informed choices. Um, a few years back, I was working with an e-commerce company in the B2B space, and my business unit managed the large volume orders for home appliances from property managers, home builders, contractors, and NGOs, and several other commercial companies. We were struggling with a lot of product level metrics, such as customer retention. Our overall churn rate was 18%, and this is net customer churn rate. We also had a very low customer net promoter score, um, and we were struggling with some other product metrics like operational cost. We were running into huge operational expenditure every year, which were not delivering the intended revenue. It was also eating away our margins. It also presented a high friction for our customers to place B2B, procurement orders, and that was irrespective of the volume. So if a customer had to place, let's say, just an order for let's say 5 refrigerators, it was difficult for them. It was again difficult for them to place an order for 50 refrigerators. So the volume of the order did not play a role here. It was all about we did not have the right systems and applications in place which could have solved our customer challenges. And because of that, we were seeing a lot of decline in some of the product metric. Now, my team was tasked to dig deeper into these metrics and understand the reasons behind the decline. And we were asked to come up with a set of achievable objectives and translate that into a roadmap, which would help stem the decline and put us back on the growth trajectory. So, an overall 18% net churn rate was quite high, and because of this, we were losing customers faster than we could add to our funnel. And eventually, if you look at the numbers, this also translates into a situation where this business would have become non-existent in next 5 years. So we were at a very poor situation. So looking at the current state, we started to dig a little bit more into the existing customer experience. While this overall problem statement is quite large, I will only talk about two primary challenges in this session today in the interest of time. So in order to understand the decline, I started with customer interviews as well as interviews with business operations team, which led me to discover various friction points and identify the root cause of the declining matrix. So in the current state, our customers had to place orders by calling into a customer care center. And since the existing web application was simply a catalog of products, it did not have any of those normal e-commerce capability that you see on some of the other marketplaces. So essentially, it did not have the capability to add the products to a cart, look at what is the available inventory levels, whether the product is available or not, or what quantities are available. Customers did not have any option to pick and choose the preferred delivery method or request for installation kind of services. In addition to that, they also did not have any post order journey capabilities. For example, a customer could not cancel an order. They could not reschedule the appliances or the delivery dates. They also could not kick off a return journey using the existing catalog that we had. So this created a lot of friction for our customers as they had to call in and spend time on things that they expected to be available in a self-serve fashion via a web-based application. So, and to be honest, the challenges did not end right with the customers. We had internal issues as well. For example, the call center reps, they did not have a real-time visibility of the available inventory, and hence they had to look up the available quantities via a spreadsheet. Now imagine a situation where another call center rep is on a call with a different customer for the same product, and if the spreadsheet is not updated in real time, they may end up overselling or underselling, right? Because they did not have the accurate quantity information at hand. So what did this translate into? This obviously led to delayed orders due to inaccurate inventory, a highly manual customer experience, which led to low net promoter scores. We started to see a lot of customer churn, which I mentioned in my previous slides as well, and hence we were losing a lot of revenue, right? While conducting interviews, we learned that the customers they prefer self-serve experiences and an ability to manage post-order journeys themselves. They hated to call into a call center to take care of all of these things. In addition to that, they didn't want to call in and ask for status updates or to reschedule deliveries as well. So we were in a bind there. So after this analysis, we started to define our OKRs. And like I said, in previous slide, you looked at the product matrix we were trying to improve upon. And we started to translate, okay, let's start to work on something that would help us improve on all of those product metrics. So we started to look at desired outcomes we want to achieve in a quantifiable way and build some OKRs around it. So we wanted to build a brand new self-serve platform. for our customers and move 100% of the orders via the online channel from call centers. So essentially, call centers would be deprecated, and eventually all of the transactions would happen via this new platform. We also wanted to provide native mobile experiences so that contractors and field technicians who are actually installing these products or um, working with property managers and builders, they are able to uh, go on their mobile application and order the appliances and pick up the parts in a store somewhere. And the overall thought here was that this would have helped us to reduce the calls to the call center by about 48%, and the operational expenditure to maintain that call center by nearly $2 million as well. Our hypothesis was that this would eventually reduce the churn rate as well by 3% because we are providing better experiences to our end customers. And hence, we will be able to bring down the net churn rate within single digits in a year once the platform is launched. And finally, by reducing the churn rate and providing a new self-serve platform, we also envisioned an improvement in daily and monthly order volumes, which would have led to revenue improvements. So it is all linked to each other, right? So all of these look like a good OKR to go after, which directly addresses the customer pain points. So now let's look at the roadmap that we created. Um, this roadmap would help us achieve the OKRs, and the roadmap looked like something like this. We would build an in-house application allowing our B2B customers to place online orders. The new application will integrate with the centralized inventory management system, allowing our customers to place orders with confidence. It would give them a real-time visibility of how many quantities of a particular products are available. We would also retrain the customer care reps and utilize their current skills and relationship with all of these customers to build inbound and outbound sales funnels, bringing more customers to our platform. Um, in addition to that, we wanted to build native mobile experiences, which would have been a game changer back in the day, allowing our field technicians and contractors to place orders and pick up parts and appliances in stores. So this was quite a decent idea back in the day, specifically considering the large appliances category. And finally, we wanted to migrate all our existing customers, more than 60,000 customers, to the new platform and get them to place orders online. This sounded like a solid plan to go after, and we were positioned to solve for all of the declining metric, and we were very confident that we are going after the right problem sets, and we have defined a great roadmap which would transform the business completely. So all right, so what was the result? And this is a surprising part. So by the time we launched this platform, which took us close to 2 years, the in-house platform did not solve the customer pain points. We could only get about 10% of the small and mid-tier customers to join the platform. We had failed miserably because we couldn't support all the needed customer journeys, specifically the post-order journeys. The enterprise level customers or large customers were very unhappy as well, since they had to use a new application to manage the orders and eventually map it to their own in-house applications, which created an additional burden for their procurement and finance department. So essentially, this is a procurement business where one business is ordering a bunch of appliances from another business, but both are using different applications. And now at the end of, let's say, a quarter, they would just do a financial accounting of how many orders were placed, what was the revenue, what was the cost, everything else. And because these were two different systems, it was creating additional headache for our customers. So we realized that essentially the industry had also moved on, and specifically for large customers, um, we were looking for a different solution. They were, in fact, looking for a different solution than what we envisioned. In addition to that, the Big Bang release after 2 years, that approach did not work. Um, while we were in parity with the competitors in that space, we did not have any differentiated offering. The decline in our metric, like the net promoter score or the churn rate and revenue, all of those continued to decline. There were no improvements to that. In fact, if it was 18% churn rate, it grew to 21% churn rate. So all of those metrics, we noticed that those things are not improving at all. So let's look at why didn't we achieve the intended goals, right? Um, in order to understand this failure better, we did some analysis on that, and essentially we found that we did the same thing that all other competitors were doing, and we were trying to play a catch-up game, right? Uh, we ended up losing more customers than we could have gained. Deploy to utilize our customer care reps to build inbound and outbound sales funnels, that also did not work because customers were not happy working with the way we function. Our operational capabilities were below par, and they had already moved on to new sources of procuring all of these products. So essentially, we did not make the right choices while forming our OKRs or translating our strategies into a product roadmap. Today, tech improvements are kind of table stakes. It is expected that it is expected by every customer that we provide an industry standard experience. Uh, and we were also not focused on our customers and wanted to create a generic solution for every segment, be it your small customer, medium customers, or large segment. But we learned that that is not how the industry functioned. Every segment of customers within the industry had a different need. They have a different way of functioning, and they had different expectations when they start to partner with you as a company. And finally, we learned that we never created a differentiated value for our customers. Thinking about native mobile experiences again, this is something that was not even needed at the time. And it was a very small segment of contractors and all on-field technicians who were demanding for all those capabilities, right? It definitely sounds like a game changer of a solution to that we could have built, but it actually had a very low demand. So based on these learnings, we went back to the drawing board, and we changed our choices, and we started to think, what should we have done instead of doing what we did earlier. So let's look at some of those fundamental questions and evaluate our choices. This is where your product strategy comes into the picture and helps you as a PM form better decisions and take the right approach. So essentially, there are a few questions that we should be answering first. We should think, how do we differentiate ourselves from our competitors? Are there ways to meet the customers where they are, in addition to building a self-serve platform, right? I mean, self-serve platform is definitely needed, but are there other ways to meet the customer demands? Should we be targeting all customer segments, or should we go after the ones that could help us sustain this business and build long-term relationship, right? Would you care about a business or a customer at this stage who is generating, let's say, few $100,000 in revenue versus a customer who has the potential to generate millions of dollars in revenue for you? Should we take a big bang approach and create a generic platform for everyone and release this platform? Or should we take an iterative approach by addressing the needs of the customers in an iterative fashion, right? So we could have, sliced the customer segments and looked at what would a small or a medium scale business would require, and what would enterprise or large scale customers would need. Finally, there were a couple of more questions that we started to dive into. Should we build in-house all of this platform, which took us, close to 2 years to release just the MVP version of it? Or should we look at off-the-shelf products that could help us achieve rapid time to market for the new application and also help us integrate with our customers' procurement software? So that could be another channel of value delivery, right? And we hadn't thought about those channels initially. And finally, should we even bother about native mobile experience at this stage? Is it too early in the game? Is there a sufficient demand for that kind of capability? How does it translate into revenue? And what are the other options that field technicians and some of the contractors take today to overcome all of these challenges. So we hadn't researched about all of these questions or spaces. So in order to address these questions, we and we'll look at how we address made some of those different choices. We essentially revised our outcomes. Initially, when you looked at the first version of the OKR, we had like 5 to 6 different OKRs to go after. One thing that we identified was that we were doing a lot. We were doing more than what was needed to be done, right? We wanted to optimize the resources that we had at our disposal, the amount of investment the company was willing to put into this initiative, and we had to distill those OKRs which would make more sense for our customer segment. So here are the new set of OKRs that we started to define. So our first objective was to retain at least 80% of the large and medium businesses. Now, this is a very specific, much more granular OKR that we were going after. And the rationale behind that is we identified who were the main revenue generators for this business, who are the large enterprise and medium level customers who are frequently placing the orders. Their repeat order counts are high and they're generating large order volumes for us. We also formalized that going after every customer segment may not be worthy, and we should look at industry segments from where we get frequent orders and integration capabilities to enable our customers to place an order via their application and feed that directly into our system. They didn't have to switch the screens or switch the applications, move to a different application altogether just to go through the ordering process or the post ordering process. They could do all of those things within their native applications that they were using in house. And the final thought here was that the integration capability will significantly improve the revenue growth since now we are enabling our customers to input an order directly into our system without leaving their own application. Moreover, it also simplified the overall tracking and financial reporting aspects. Now, essentially, all of these would also impact other OKRs. For example, reduction in calls to our customer care center, right? And then we would also be looking at much better revenue growth on a quarterly basis because we would be receiving more frequent orders directly from the customers. So we distilled down to all of these three different OKRs. And based on that, we started to create our roadmap. So if you look at the previous roadmap, based on the revised choices that we have made, that there's no point in going out on native integrations. There's a point to build self-serve application, but should we be investing heavily into that? And should we be even building that in-house? Those are the kind of choices we started to think about. We can now see that the previous roadmap was not going to work. Like like I mentioned, in-house application development or native mobile experiences, all of those were like poor choices. In fact, trying to grab a market share in every industry was a poor choice as well. We should have done more research into customer segmentation. The only thing that remained consistent was a better tech platform that could provide real-time experience and supported standardized ordering as well as post-order customer journeys. So this is the only thing that remained consistent between the previous version of the roadmap and the new roadmap we are going to look at. Finally, we also thought quite clearly about the platform capabilities and evaluated the build versus buy decision, which led us to totally a different solution, leveraging a software as a service product with integration capabilities that allowed us to address the need of our large and medium tech savvy customers who were also the ones delivering the largest revenue for us. This was kind of a big revelation for us and made us, rethink our choices. So from this point onward, we simplified the roadmap and made very targeted choices around customer segmentation, problems we go after, optimizing our resources, as I mentioned earlier in my presentation, and finally making some more educated decisions on build versus buy aspect. Now, we took the decision to use SaaS platform and to go after property managers, and we were also focused on a very target segment. All of these functions were available out of the box because we were using a software as a service application, and hence we did not have to spend time and energy on building those experiences on the self-serve platform. It just came out of the box with the Commerce Cloud. This essentially helped us iterate quickly over the solution and also achieve a faster time to market. So instead of our customers waiting for like 2 years to receive any, just the MVP version of the platform, and then, every quarter or 6 months to get new feature set, we were able to expedite the time to market, and we were launching new capabilities and new experiences and new integrations every quarter. So that helped us gain back some of the lost customers as well, who had stopped doing business with us for the last 2 years. So here's the overall framework that I would suggest we as product managers should be looking at. We can divide the product strategy into these fundamental segments. First, we should identify the customer segments we want to serve. Second, we should identify the pain points we should be going after. When you are serving in a large industry and you have thousands of customers, be sure that there would be a lot of different problem statements that you would be getting from all of those stakeholders, right? From all of those customers as well. In order to build a decent enough roadmap and take a good strategic product direction, you would definitely need to dive deeper into those pain points and see what are the common denominators, how many or what volume of customers are facing those challenges. You will have to think about the value proposition your product provides and how is it different from what your competitors are doing in the same market segment. So this is where exactly you would be able to differentiate your offering and gain more customers, right? As an example, we can always think about a scenario where you have to communicate with your customers. It becomes a strategic choice how you do that, right? So if your customers are only looking at emails, it's simple to build an in-house system which could help you, send emails frequently to your customers. But if you want to expand, and if your customers expectations are ever evolving, where they would be using different platforms to consume that information, you might have to think about integrations with platforms like Twilio, which is, communication as a platform service, and it would help you, go to the next stage of your product evolution and meet the customers where they are. This is where you can differentiate from some of the existing competitors who are not doing all of these things for your customers. Um, in addition to that, you would also need to think about how are you delivering those values. There are various ways to do it. For example, it could be online, it could be offline, it could be via web, it could be via mobile experiences. Um, it could also, you would also have to do build versus buy decisions. And how do you meet your customer demands is very important. Finally, while you think about all of these choices, do not forget to make data informed decisions and evaluate your solution options to make sure you are working around internal limitations such as investments or buy in from stakeholders and cross functional dependencies. All of these things are something that would always keep you challenging, and as a PM you are not only making external strategic choices, you would also have to make internal strategy choices because there are a lot of limitations around which we have to work. So finally, coming to the case summary. So to reiterate, product strategy is a set of unique and deliberate and educated choices that will help you deliver differentiated value to your customers. At the same time, strategy is also what you should not do to optimize the resources at your hand. For example, we started to spend a lot of resources on native integrations, right? We shouldn't have done that. So it is also a strategy, or it is also an important choice what you should not be doing. It's an iterative process overall. While it may look a little bit linear on this slide, but it feeds into product roadmap decisions, and it also influences the set of actions you are going to take. So this is all about strategy. I hope this session simplified product strategy for you, and I'm ready to take questions. If I'm unable to answer all your questions, please feel free to reach out to me at this email, anshul.kumar at alumni.ie.edu, or you can always look me up on LinkedIn and connect me there, and I would attempt to answer your questions there as well. Fred, if we have some time left, I'm happy to take some questions.
Now I'm back on stage, and yes, we do have time for one or two questions. Let's start with the most upvoted then, okay? I can read it for you, Ashnu. What are some strategies to best decide on what key metrics measures are appropriate for your product? What about this one?
All right. So I see the first question here. What are some strategies to best decide on what key metrics measures are appropriate for your product? That's a good question. But when you think about product metrics, you have to go back to your OKRs, and your OKRs will eventually translate into product metric. For example, if you are, as a company, you are on a growth trajectory, and you run a subscription business. In those cases, some of the North Star metric could be number of new customers that you have added. But at the same time, you would also want to learn about how, what is the churn rate for your product, right? If you're adding, let's say, 100 new customers every day, but you are also losing like 90 customers every day, that means your net adoption rate is just 10%, which is not a great indicator of your product. So I would say, instead of thinking about strategy, think about the goals that you want to achieve, and based on that, based on your OKRs, try to define your product metric.
Well, that's a great answer. We still have time for the second most upvoted question.
Fred, sorry, I cannot hear you. You're on mute.
I think you're having some network issues. Can you see the question? Yeah, I think you're having some network issues. Well, in any case, thank you everyone for joining in. We're wrapping up our time now as we reach the end of our
Are there
session.
more questions I can take?
Oh, I get. Yeah, I'm guessing Anshul is not able to hear me right now, but we are still wrapping up our session. We got to the end of it. Thank you everyone for joining in. There's a feedback form on the chat. Let me send again so you can share your feedback and follow us on our socials. Thank you everyone for joining in. See you and BeMore.